So, it surprised me and saddened me over these past, I would say 3-4 years post-COVID, the number of students who say, I don't know how to make friends.
Yes, very true.
I don't know how to meet
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And part of that is because for, 2-3 years, we were primarily, on computers and things like that. But there is a group of students who actually come to campuses and don't have that skill set of how to socialize or how to make friends, or that it's a pain if you put them in small groups with each other.
Yeah.
And so those are things that I think that supporters and family members can help their young people in terms of their confidence around.
Hey y'all, it's Thea with Dem Black Mamas, here to tell you 3 ways to start your joy journey with me this fall. Now, you've heard me talk about joy as a metric for powerful transformation and for healing in your life. So fall is the perfect time to pack and prepare your joy toolkit for 2026. So first, I would say consider one-on-one sessions with me so we can customize your definition of joy, identify your joy barriers, and set some joy goals that are tailored to you and your needs. And last but not least, I'm happy to announce that Hold a Sacred Retreats is starting back up in 2026. We return to the Red Sea for the most immersive joy experience that I offer. But you don't have to take my word for it. Our very own Crystal Tennille Irby went, and you can read all the reviews. So all the links are in my IG bio. They're also in our show notes, or you can just email me at thea@theamonnier.com. But I thank you for your trust and for listening.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Ride. You're on the mothership inside the Black Mama Magic Room with the greatest podcast on earth,
G-Po.
I am one of your co-hosts, Crystal Tennille Irby, mother of 4.
I'm Thea Monnier, mother of 3. Let's do the math real quick.
Oh, you had to...
I do that every time.
And that's only lately. I don't know what's going on with that. Why that's happening to you lately?
We don't have to do it. It just... We can let it go.
So we have a very, what would you say, informative episode today.
Yes.
We are going to
had a little
talking...
crash out at the end. Something off script happened, but you'll see.
It wasn't off script. It's within the topic.
It's not in the outline.
None of the questions were in the outline today. We're going to be talking about back to school and Black motherhood. And we're going to be talking about high school students and just some of the tips that you can give your high schooler. Our guest is Frederick Smith. We call him Freddie. Right? He's Fred Smith, Dr. Frederick Smith, who is a VP at San Francisco State University. And so we're going to be talking to him about the changing landscape of higher education and what that means for you as a Black mother with children who may be going into higher education, and also things, maybe they don't want to go to college, but just some things that you should be thinking about with your high schoolers, some tools and tips and skills that you should be giving them. And also if you're a mom that wants to return to school as well. So it's a very, very informative show. Be sure that you check out our show syllabus. It has articles, videos, all kinds of stuff that we mention in the show, but also that will give you a more well-rounded experience and context in terms of what we're talking about here today. And if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to not just look at us, but to also subscribe and to share this episode with at least one person, because sharing is not only caring, but sharing is how we build community. So, do you want to jump into our responsive reading?
Yeah.
Okay. You have a card number?
22.
Oh, wow. I don't think you've ever picked that number.
I don't think I have either. It's the first time it popped in my head.
Wow. 22. Okay. One episode you weren't here and the number ended up being 1. And me and Nikisha was like, what does 1 mean? Girl, we didn't know. We was like, I don't know. Thea's not here. We don't know.
So cute.
Okay. What's 22? What is that?
The doubles like 11, 22, 33 are considered like master numbers. So I don't know specifically what 22 specifies, but I know it's one of those master numbers. So I'll have to look that up. It's a master builder. It's considered a powerful and positive number associated with the ability to turn grand ideas into reality. It combines the imaginative qualities of the number 2 with the practicality of the number 4 and the insights of the number 11. People with this number are often seen as visionaries who can build a strong foundation for the future. And motherhood is rooted in creativity.
Man, that's divine how that always works out. Okay. Dear Mama, you are not obligated to mimic the model of motherhood set before you. You are allowed to let go of what doesn't serve you or your children. Your motherhood can be a place of curiosity and ingenuity. Black people survived and continue to transform culture because of creativity. I wrote this. Embrace that legacy and allow it to build a motherhood that elevates you instead of burning you. Crystal, you better write, girl. You better write, Crystal. I wrote this part. My motherhood is rooted in creativity. Let me tell y'all something. If I can't do nothing else, I can write. If I can't do nothing else, I can
Master
write.
builder.
Master builder. That's good. So now we're going to move into, oh my goodness. Nikisha Killings is not with us today.
Nikisha Killings is not with us today. I thought we were going to do that in the other part.
Nikisha is not with us today. She just started her PhD program at UNC, so she is not with us for this episode. Sorry, y'all, that I didn't mention that before. So now let's move into our church announcements, praise reports, and prayer list requests. What you got, Thea?
Really, my announcements are that I'm outside. I'm moving 75% of my work back to in-person. And so open and excited to take on collaborations, especially around joy work, whether it's organizations or companies, or just like people who want to like collaborate ideas like joy and other concepts. Please reach out. I'm also accepting a few more clients for one-on-one joy work, and then planning to visit several cities in the next year to do in-person joy work. So if you're interested in that, make sure you email me at connectedtheamonier.com. You can email me if you're interested in a collaboration. If you want to like throw your city in the ring for one of the cities that I visit and create one of these events. Or if you want individual work done with me, then all these things are open. We are outside. And the more of it I can do in person, the better. The coaching sessions are still virtual, but that's pretty much the most virtual I want to do. Presentations, keynotes, all kinds of things are available. Just reach out if you're interested. The joy work that we do, just to be clear, is very distinct. I think you know that about me, but in case you think it's not, our definition of joy that we root this work in is joy is your innate and inalienable, inextricable right to choose at any and every moment what brings you the maximum experience of aliveness that you desire. And if you listen to our episode 61, we had a conversation about the joy assessment.
Oh, wow.
I looked it up because of the event I had. We talked about the joy assessment. We did the joy assessment, and it's just like a sneak peek into the work that we do. So if that's something you want to bring to your community or your space, let me know. One of the ways we collaborated with businesses, especially nonprofits right now, that can't afford to offer healthcare to staff, especially given these times, is that I just do a monthly retainer with nonprofits, and then their people can sign up for joy sessions, which has been really, really great. I've really enjoyed it, and it's felt good for the nonprofits to be able to offer that to the people working with them. So if you are a part of a nonprofit or an organization that maybe doesn't have the financial means to do like full-on healthcare for everyone, you can still offer them joy sessions through a retainer with me. And it's been really, really fun, good work, and developing more programming also with those entities as well. So I'm outside. Reach out.
I think that's really good for nonprofits because often we think about what we're offering to the community and not what we're offering to the people that work for us. How the people who work for a nonprofit are treated should mimic what the nonprofit stands for.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's really good. I think
I
that's
love
really
it.
important.
And it's actually turning into like wanting to consult with them. They want to consult about programming that actually includes these joy concepts. So that I think I like where it can grow into, and it feels it feels good. So
Yeah.
I'm down.
So my announcement is about our listener episode. And that's an episode where we invite our listeners on to be in conversation with us, to be in the recording with us. And we like to do one of those every year. And this year, we're going to be recording that on Thursday, November 13th at 9 a.m. Well, I don't know. We may change the time, but it will be, yeah.
If you see me yawning, it's because we did 9 today.
Yeah, I don't know why we did 9.
I don't know
wish
why we
you
did
should
9.
have said something.
I don't know what I was thinking.
Girl, when 12 rolled around, I was like, ooh.
It's early.
Yeah, so, but the recording will take place on November 13th. We'll have the link to fill out the form if you'd like to be a part of that recording. We're only picking 5 listeners, but if you don't get picked, you can still be in the audience. So you can see and you can comment and all of that fun stuff. But we like to do a listener episode where we're really talking to you all each year. So that'll be November 13th. The last 2 things, I just want to give praise and uplift 2 things, 2 people that we really, really have gotten to know and really love. Jen Roberts of Colored Girls Lab. Yeah. She has a podcast called Bloom Notes. The podcast is 5 minutes, but it is the perfect way to start your day, to start your week. And it's really, really, really about blooming. Like, it's beautiful. It's 5 minutes. It's like the boost that you need. So we'll have a link for that in our show notes. I often try to share it in our stories as well. And then the last thing is an announcement for Black Mama Creatives. I don't know if you all remember For Harriet, but For Harriet was a real moment in time. It was like a digital
we'll
magazine.
get to write for it.
Yeah, for Black women. And Thea and I used to write for Harriet. For Harriet is gone now, but there's something called Literary Liberation. And it started by Sharissa DeGroot, and she's someone who we're also in community with. We did 4 Black mothers with, and they have a call for essays. The essay series is called Freedom Ways Essay Series. And this is a paid opportunity. And they are looking for first-person narrative essays that explore writing as a transformative and liberatory practice. We seek to eliminate the ways in which writing can be a powerful tool for personal and collective liberation, challenging oppressive structures, and creating new possibilities for understanding, resistance, and healing. They are interested in submissions that explore writing as a form of resistance and testimony, a method of personal and collective healing, a means of challenging dominant narratives, a space for reimagining social realities, and an act of self-determination and empowerment. So we'll have the link for that in our show notes. The deadline is October 25th. And again, it's a paid opportunity. And if you are a writer, this is a great way to begin to do it and to begin to kind of build your skills. And you can have something to refer people to for other opportunities. That's what we did for Harriet. And I still refer people to those articles, even though the site isn't active. Those articles are still up and alive. So those are all of my announcements. So please check our show syllabus for the links to everything that we mentioned and everything that we talk about in this episode. And again, if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe, leave us a review, and wherever you're listening, subscribe and share the episode with at least one person who you feel can benefit from the episode, and sign up for our newsletter. This comes out twice a month, our podcast, so you'll probably get more information about what's going on in our newsletter than you will anywhere else. So that's it. So let's move into our mac and cheese.
Hey y'all, it's Thea with Dem Black Mamas, here to tell you 3 ways to start your joy journey with me this fall. Now, you've heard me talk about joy as a metric for powerful transformation and for healing in your life. So fall is the perfect time to pack and prepare your joy toolkit for 2026. So first, I would say consider one-on-one sessions with me so we can customize your definition of joy, identify your joy barriers, and set some joy goals that are tailored to you and your needs. And last but not least, I'm happy to announce that Hold a Sacred Retreats is starting back up in 2026. We return to the Red Sea for the most immersive joy experience that I offer. But you don't have to take my word for it. Our very own Crystal Tennille Irby went, and you can read all the reviews. So all the links are in my IG bio. They're also in our show notes, or you can just email me at thea@theamonnier.com. But I thank you for your trust and for listening.
All right, everybody, we're back and we're going to jump into our mac and cheese. And he's an excellent guest. He's an excellent guest. He's really knowledgeable in our subject, what we're going to talk about today. And he's also such a great friend and a mentor to me. I don't know if he knows that he's a mentor to me, but also just one of our favorite people. He's one of our favorite
Kiki partners.
Yes.
For sure. One of our favorite Kiki partners.
So we're gonna try to stay on topic because I think that this is a really, really important topic. But I just want to put that out there. Like he's one of our favorite people. But today, in our mac and cheese segment, as we talk about back to school and Black motherhood, we welcome Dr. Frederick Smith. And as we always do, we're going to lead with the bio because we always feel like Black people don't know how much they're doing. And then when you hear your bio, you like, oh, I'm really doing it. I didn't know I was really doing it, but I'm really doing it. Okay, so here we go. Dr. Frederick Smith is San Francisco State's Associate Vice President for Equity and Community Inclusion. Previously, he served as the Director of the Cross-Cultural Centers at Cal State LA from 2006 to 2019. Dr. Smith's research and professional interests focus on higher education and include co-curricular learning experiences, the role of ethnic studies and cultural centers in student identity development and confidence building, campus climate experiences of historically marginalized and minoritized communities. I think I'm saying that right. Retention and graduation of students of color in higher education and collaborations between student affairs and academic affairs units for student success. Fred has a strong professional background developing collaborative programs, events, services, dialogues, and celebrations that bring the campus community together. Smith has served twice as president of the California Council of Cultural Centers in Higher Education, known as CACHE. Is that? I think I remembered right. That's how you say it.
CACHE, yep.
Which is best conferences for student affairs, if you don't know, like the best. That's my opinion, not Fred's. He is active with the National Conference on Race and Ethnicity in Higher Education, NCORE, NASPA, Student Affairs Administration in Higher Education, and American College Personnel Association, ACPA. Outside of higher education, Fred enjoys reading and writing fiction. He's written and published several novels. Listen to these titles, y'all.
This is where it comes. This is where it hits. This is why he's the Kiki partner.
Okay, here we go. In case you forgot, play it forward. Right side of the wrong bed.
One of my favorites.
Whatever. But wait,
Right side of the wrong bed is one of my favorite titles.
Right side of the wrong bed. But
and then there's
poems in Right Side of the Wrong Bed. I think my poetry is in Right
yes,
Side.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Poem in the beginning of Right Side of the Wrong Bed. Yep.
But what is? And
then there's
not the one that's about to come out.
Busy Ain't the Half of It.
Busy Ain't the Half.
There's One and Done. Busy Ain't the Half of It. And in case you forgot, we're with Chaz Cruz. One and Done is out now.
And and Done.
And then the new title. Wait for the new title. Here it comes.
Well, let me just say something about One and Done first.
Okay.
One and Done was the book that I would read before I went to bed. It brought me so much joy. The writing is so Black. Like the way that the characters
so Black. It's so Black.
Just so like I catch the rhythm in your writing. And sometimes that's hard. It's kind of hard to do, but I catch the rhythm in your writing. So One and Done is really good. It's really good. Okay, what's the new title?
It'll be out in June 2026. It's called Love is a Contact Sport. It is a
Do you see what I'm saying?
love is a contact
Every time
sport.
I go to make a title for something, I think of Fred. And I
What
ask
would-
myself,
what
what would Fred
What would
title
Fred's title
this?
be? And the
Yes.
names. His characters have
His characters' names are the best.
fantastic names.
If you want to feel immersed in your Blackness, you will look at the names of Fred's characters. If I had to, my crown, my favorite title of all time is Right Side of the Rollback.
Well, you know what's so funny is like the whole thing about titles. I learned that from looking at the way that by Terry McMillan and the way that Terry McMillan would title her books.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's always had some catchy titles over the years in her novels.
It's true.
And then in terms of the names, you all might remember back at Cal State LA when I worked there, we brought this author named Pearl Clegg on a lot. Pearl Clegg works in higher education, playwright, and she always taught me whenever we'd be in the car going to campus or whatever, going back to the hotel, she'd always be like, the authenticity of names is so important in terms of writing, because names, you know, if you name someone Anna Mae, you know you're talking about someone born in the 30s, 40s, or 50s.
Yeah.
If you name someone named Takesha, you know it's someone born in the 80s. And then
you name somebody Kenny Jenkins, you know he about to fuck somebody's life up in this book Fred done wrote.
Yeah. So, so those are two great Black women authors I've learned a lot about just by studying, you know, how they title stuff, how they give names to people and everything. And they've been great teachers to me, even though they haven't been formally my teachers.
Okay, so let me finish the bio. So
we didn't even finish the bio. We didn't even get the bio. Okay, here we go. We didn't even.
This is how we roll.
This is how we. This is the problem you warned us about from the beginning. Okay, we're ready.
Okay, Smith received his BJ in journalism, TV news from the University of Missouri School of Journalism. He completed his master's in higher education at Loyola University, Chicago. He earned his doctorate in educational leadership for social justice at Loyola Marymount University. And let me give y'all the title of Fred's dissertation.
Oh, because y'all know dissertation titles be dramatic and long.
So the title of Fred's dissertation is The Politics of Ethnic Studies, Cultural Centers, and Student Activism, colon.
I was waiting for the colon.
Yeah. The voices of Black women at the academic borderlands.
Big fancy title, like all dissertations are. But if you boil it all down, if campuses and workplaces listen to Black women.
Fred and I have some stories.
We could really end the podcast here. We could end this episode right here. But we won't.
Fred and I we have been in the same rooms where Fred has heard me say,
if you listen to Black women.
We quoted Viola Davis that one time. We said, stop trying to tame us. Remember that one, Fred?
Yes, I remember that.
Fred was my first boss at when I started working at Cal State LA as a student getting my master's degree.
It definitely was a privilege to work under you, Fred, and we both had that privilege.
Thank you. And, you know, it was my privilege, you know, working with you all and all the capacities that you all worked with us, you know, at Cal State LA, whether it was as a staff, whether it was as performers and artists coming in, creative. And I think what's always so heartwarming, and this is what I hope that when people think about pursuing higher education, that they find good people on their campuses who really, really do care about the work, care about students, wanting to put students first and students' well-being. But at the same time, who can also be real, but not like so real that they're unprofessional. And so it's just really nice to see how people have come through that space and have gone on to do some really good things. And one thing I often hear a lot from people, and no matter whether we're a professional staff or a student staff, almost everyone I talk to are like working at the CCC, which is what we called it at Cal State LA. They were like, that was the best job I ever had in my life. And I wish all other workplaces could be like that. And, you know, what's your secret? It's also about like, you know, letting people fly, like knowing what people's talents are and not you know, what's that word? When
Stifling.
You micromanage people and, you know, just stay on their backs about stuff. I'm like, once people show you what their strengths are, let them do that. Just let them do that, because then they're going to give you their best work, their best programming and everything based on what they are passionate about and everything. And so, for me as a supervisor, it was never about trying to control people and make people do a certain thing. It's really just about asking questions and guiding people toward, what their strengths are. So for students who are looking for jobs when they go to school, try to find like your student union, try to find like your cultural center, or if you're a parent or a supporter of a college student, try to get them toward, a cultural center, an identity center, because those are people who really care about the student population that they're working with. And then, places like student unions employ students and teach them so many skills that can be used in their school work and their school life, or even post-school life. Like, those are great places to, kind of steer students toward if they're going to higher ed. And I know now even a lot of K through 12 schools are developing, their own ethnic studies and gender studies curriculums. I know it varies from state to state.
Yeah, I think that's happening.
Krista was like, that is not happening.
Maybe it's just California.
Probably just in California.
Yeah. And so like what we're seeing now, like in terms of higher education, so there's so much happening. One, like I know before we started formally recording, you all asked like, what's the state of higher ed right now?
Yeah.
And, on the basic level, higher ed is still here, but higher ed is struggling for a number of reasons as an industry.
When you say as an industry, what do you mean by that?
So like people who work in universities, people who produce knowledge, who work with facts, who are doing science. So higher ed is like that industry that produces knowledge.
Research.
And research. And hopefully it's helping people with fact learn how to make their own decisions and navigate life. So at the federal level, there's a lot happening in terms of executive orders, as it relates to like diversity and equity and inclusion, that's really putting limits on some higher ed campuses around what they can and can't talk about, provide for students, provide support for students who historically have needed extra support. But then, big picture, there's this huge campaign now against intellectualism.
So I was looking at the 2025 higher education trends, and I'm going to put this article in our syllabus. One of the things is public confidence in the value of U.S. higher education has declined sharply over the last decade. So you all know that we often ask, where were you 10 years ago? And did you think you'd be where you are right now? 10 years ago is 2025, was 2015. Barack Obama was president, but people were gearing up to run in 2016, right? There is a direct correlation between that election and the beginning of the decline of intellectualism. It's so hard because, like, I can understand why Black people in particular feel as this education system can't be the end all be all because of the way in which we were treated in this particular system and the barriers that prevented us from getting access to these things. And how do you define intellectualism? I get all of that. Totally and completely understand all of that. And at the same time, anybody with a mic, and I'm a podcaster, anybody with a mic can say anything and it go all over the world and people take it as truth. It's one of the reasons why I started calling our show notes a syllabus, because we are intentionally putting articles, books, videos, all of that so that you can get a wider perspective, so that you know we just not talking out of our ass. You know what I'm saying? And there are times when we have our own theories and we're like, Crystal's theories, Thea's theories, Nikisha's theories, like to let you know these are our thoughts. You know what I'm saying?
I know it's a lot. And like, like now I think a lot about this current generation of young men who are coming up, who are drinking the Kool-Aid behind all these highly conservative men presenting or men-led podcasts and thinkers that are leading them to have some really troublesome anti-women, anti-trans thoughts.
Troublesome is a nice word, Fred. The other thing about that too, Fred, is that this anti-intellectualism movement is also parallel to the movement of encouraging people to have children, especially at a younger age. So I don't think that it's coincidence that these two things are happening at the same time.
Exactly. And, one of the things that you just shared about this whole declining birth rates, and now people are trying to encourage young women. They're not encouraging, they're trying to control it by not allowing access to birth control and education, sexual health education, and things like that. There really is a decline in birth rates in the U.S.
Right.
It started around the late 2000s. And that's why now in higher education, schools are scrambling to get students, because the number of high school age and college going students, that population has decreased tremendously. And so one of our challenges now at all colleges is enrollment. And how are we going to survive? Because when enrollment goes down, budgets go down and things like that. But it's definitely tied to this whole thing around control of people's bodies. And, hey, how about instead of going to college, you just pop out a few kids? But it all fits together around this whole anti-intellectual kind of movement that's happening and everything. That's just so disturbing. Now, we do have some success stories, because the students who are getting into college are finishing, and they're finishing good. And I think it's those students who really get connected on campus, get involved on campus. They find a staff or a faculty mentor who will take them under their wings and connect them to resources on campus, which is part of the work I know we did when we were working together. Now with higher ed under so many attacks federally, is really going to take for students and for their supporters who are dropping them off on campuses to really be mindful about finding and seeking out those people who are going to care for their young people. Because sometimes people can't be as out with, hey, I work with the Black Student Center or something, because sometimes they're kind of, there's limitations to talking about what they do around diversity.
I want to add to the piece about the anti-intellectualism. There's this kind of diluting of what intellect is, right? Like that it's fact, that opinion and fact are not the same thing, and they're not both equally intellect. And having an opinion doesn't make you intellectual. So these are
pause
things, right?
Pause for the cause. Pause for the cause. I guess this is my new thing. Pause for the cause. Pause for the cause.
Yeah. Having an opinion, it doesn't make you intellectual. That word is very loosely and oddly defined currently. Also, though, that word also has roots in exclusivity, right? Because who had access to education, who had access to become an intellect. And that's, I think, what left the loopholes for other groups to come in and challenge it. Right. Is the fact that it seemed exclusive to certain people. And I do think that what happened is it also left this hole where it became so exclusive, and so there was an idea of who was attached to intellect that left this hole that the right really filled and amplified. There's also, though, I think, an attack on the mind generally. Working in mental health, I think flooding people with mental health jargon, with pieces of mental health, but not the full understanding of the language behind mental health and its intention, treatment planning, diagnosing, all these things, and just flooding people with quick sound bites about mental health. Also started making people do their own mental health assessments that have created this illusion and idea that that takes it out of proper diagnosing, which would include the environment and society around the person. Food, are they eating? Are they their basic needs? All these factors are not factored in when people self-diagnose. And that is also an attack on the mind. And then overstimulation, just way too much data. So all of these things, are attacking the mind, but also some of these attacks are out of you guys' control. The price of higher education has not gone down. It used to be the option. You're going to college. They have to think about it. They have to pause because the world that they're looking at, the job market is bad. Can they handle the debt that comes out of it? And I think some of them are just doubting that they can even step into it.
The thing that I want to say about the debt, and Fred, maybe you can speak to this because I know a lot of those things are changing. I went to school out of state.
You say this. Are you about to say this thing that you always say about this student?
Like whatever the highest tuition rate was.
Them Black mamas do not
on all levels.
You did out of state for everything.
I did out of state every time.
Yeah.
Florida, California. I did one state.
I did too.
I did in-state one time, but it was private. So
yeah.
Right. But here's what I want to say about that. And maybe you can speak to this too, Fred.
Okay.
That debt has not held me back. Like everybody I know that's a homeowner had student loans, had car, like that debt has never had me back. I mean, you've heard me on the phone with the student loan people.
I have. I've also heard you say, I had a time. I don't regret a dime. I've had her. She said, she had a time.
I don't regret a dime.
And she'll pay them when she blows up.
And I'll pay them when I blow up. First people I pay. I'll pay them. And when the reparations
come. We'll pay you fully.
When the reparations come.
That's why they keep deference and forbearance as an option forever.
But I think that when you look at the number, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe we could have got a bigger house, maybe whatever. But I've never felt that it like held me back. Again, I'm a Gen Xer. So
I was about to say, I started to hear it with millennials. I started to hear them feel that pressure about their student loans also, early.
When I would hear that, I would be like, wow, that's never been like, an issue for it. What was an issue was the credit card debt.
Yes.
That
and so,
was the bigger issue.
So I'm glad you mentioned that because like for a lot of financial literacy like classes or seminars, especially when it comes to thinking about going into higher education, there's that comparison between what's good debt and what's bad debt. Now, bad debt, credit cards. Credit cards with anything interest above 20%, 15%, bad debt. Buying a new car, bad debt because it loses its value right away. Vacations, I think, are good debt because you get good memories from it. But like one thing I will always be a champion of in terms of higher education is that taking student loans for completing college is good debt because it's an investment. It's an investment in the future and long term. A lot of the studies do show that, if you average it out over the course of like a 30, 40, 50 year career, that will pay off.
Yeah.
In terms of at least, career employment, the benefits, the 401k and stuff like that. So it is a good investment. But I think that now a lot of people are weighing, do I get that job working for
100%? This is the
delivering
back
packages for that big firm where I can make $75 an hour right now, delivering packages that might not have any career trajectory. And people are really weighing that because of the way the economy and job market is now. They're like, I need that money right now because I need it now. And I think that one thing that can help is if families and people who live together can really talk through the whole conversation of what's short-term thinking and then what's long-term thinking and planning. And it makes a difference in terms of, to me, I'm always an advocate of if it means that you're going to be able to finish college in 4 or 5 years, taking a loan, do it. Now, what I will discourage is there's some people who stop. And there actually is a limit in terms of how many years someone can be eligible for financial aid. So for those people who maybe don't feel as confident that they're going to complete in 4, 5, 6 years, then I would say don't do the debt. But if and if you are determined that you're going to finish, do the student loan, because if that makes a difference between earning the degree and not earning the degree, I strongly encourage that. Do whatever you need to do to cross that finish line. What I do worry about is, again, the people who start and stop, or maybe even those who, and there's nothing wrong with community colleges, but community college transfer rates aren't the highest to 4-year, into getting into a 4-year. They're not at all, because a lot of people kind of languish at the community college level. They might use up all their eligibility for financial aid trying to get through community college, which realistically should only take 2 years, but some people might take 4 years, 5 years to finish an AA at a community college, when a lot of the studies show that going directly to a 4-year institution sets someone up for better success in terms of completing a degree and everything. But, it's all personal conversations and decisions that people will need to make around, where they see themselves, their own stick-to-itiveness, if they feel confident that they will actually go forward and finish. I know it's different for different people, and whether they're first gen or second or third gen going to college, those are personal conversations they got to have with themselves around what they know they're capable of and what they plan to do in terms of completing college. I want everyone who goes to finish. Yeah.
I have a question for these are the conversations we were having with students, even when I was there.
Yeah.
But what is higher education doing to really acknowledge current circumstances, like so much uncertainty? For example, that short-term, long-term conversation made sense, like Krista was saying, like a decade ago. But now,
a year ago,
Gen Z does not see long-term.
Exactly.
The things that used to bring confidence about long-term. Over 300,000 Black women just lost their jobs mostly from federal and state, which used to be the most secure jobs. The idea of a career path that can last you 20, 30, 40 years, this generation does not, there's nothing we've given to say this is true for you. So I'm wondering what is higher education doing to combat the current trajectory of the country, right? While we're still trying to convince people that this is your best, safest option to take care of yourself. And how does that balance with trades? Because even thinking about COVID wiped everybody out. Everybody had to go home, except we learned what were essential workers during COVID. We learned what professions were essential. And most of those weren't ones that people were going into much anymore because they were going into other things. So I'm like, what does that conversation look like? And does higher ed need to partner with trades? Do they need to bring trades more onto campuses in a different way? What does that look like moving forward?
I want to add to that in terms of the security of getting a college education. You talked about the limits before on how much you can borrow. Those limits could take you all the way, let's say, through medical school, right? That is not necessarily the case anymore. So if you're going to school to be a doctor, or you are getting a degree beyond a bachelor's degree, the max that they've put on borrowing, at some point, you are going to probably have to come out of pocket if those maxes stay in place. Another example is if you worked in a daycare, people who work in daycares that want to go on and get a bachelor's degree may not be eligible to get student loans because of the amount of money that they'll potentially make. The government doesn't feel like that's a good investment because they don't feel like it'll pay off because they don't make a lot of money, right? And so planning even in those basic careers is a challenge under these new current rules from this big, beautiful bullshit bill, right?
I know.
Which is why going back to Fred's point about listening to Black women, I'm not going to drag out this horse and beat it again because
I know we're all FBFO'd because no one wants to listen to Kamala.
The other part of trade is what worries me is I live in a factory state. There are, and Fred, you're from Detroit. There are so many Fortune 500 plants in South Carolina. And I think when it comes to trade, what is not talked about enough is the long term, because the wear and tear that trade puts on your body physically. And people, I hear people promoting that, and this is the thing that I don't like about social media. You're not having a whole conversation, and you don't know people who worked in factories. You don't know people who've been plumbers their whole entire lives. And the wear and tear that puts on your body.
Exactly. So, a couple things. So one, I am really disheartened with what's happening currently with the federal administration around these limits that they're putting on how much people can borrow, whether it's for undergrad, but definitely for like professional school, grad school, and things like that. This is part of the assault on the middle class, on working people, and on people's trajectory towards social mobility. It's a concerted attack. Thea, when you were mentioning 300,000 Black women have lost career jobs through the federal government. We all know people who sent their kids to college through federal jobs. They could take care of their families working at the post office or at a factory and things like that. And so, I just want people, as they're thinking through what's happening, I want people to really be thinking about, they're pulling the rug under the things that made Black families be able to be solid, middle class or working class, units. And being able to pay bills, mortgages, sending someone to college, and the pride that meant for them and everything. Thea, going back to your question around what is higher ed doing now to kind of combat or convince parents, yes, this is a good investment for you. One thing that I know a lot of colleges are doing now is, and I know, so even within colleges, we have our debates and discussions around, are we here just for people to learn how to be good thinkers, or are we here about producing people's ability to have good careers? A lot of colleges are really shifting toward making direct connections between these classes you take and how it's going to connect to an internship and a career job.
Give them, they need a job.
So they're doing, a lot more colleges are doing that direct connection.
So
and so what it means now is that, within colleges, as they battle, this anti-intellectualism, a lot of colleges are like, wow, we might have to get rid of some of these kind of, I'm going to say, thinking majors. Like classics, Greek and Roman.
Those majors.
Now, we love them, but do they produce careers? And those are the kind of conversations that higher ed is having conversations around now, knowing that people are coming in wanting to know, if I pay you this amount of money, am I going to get a career job at the end? And so
that you're going to have to help me to do it, because there's going to have to be relationships between the job market and higher ed to ensure that.
I want to say the universities that did do that, that made those connections, are called HBCUs.
That part, yes. And I think that is,
were very much like, you're going to need a job.
You're going to need a job, baby.
And you're going to have your network of others
those
who
networks are
graduated
strong,
from here to take care of you.
Very strong.
Right. And I'll say, in the arts, the one thing I realized when I was in California, there were people in my class, my acting class, that went to Yale, that went to NYU, but them folks that went to Howard was working. It was working.
This is a good point. That's how parents can think strategically about this.
The reason that they were working is they didn't spend 4 years fighting to get on a stage, fighting to get in front of a camera, because they were surrounded by Blackness. So they got so much experience. And they weren't, their Blackness wasn't being questioned, debated. I'm going to say we had one Black play, if that, a year. And the folks who got the roles in that, the students from FAMU came over and auditioned and got the roles. Because they had the rhythm of the conversations that we just honestly didn't have, because we were trying to get on a stage at a white institution, right?
Yeah, that could be a strategy.
Those people came out with so much confidence in who they were as Black artists that by the time I got to Hollywood, I was so tired of fighting that they and they weren't, and they had really, 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 really strong networks. So I'm an advocate for HBCUs for those reasons.
I completely
the other
agree.
part of it is, when you talk about the thinking majors being gone, I think that's a problem too, because I think that's part of the decline.
We're using air quotes when we say thinking, in case you don't see us.
Oh, okay.
In case you're listening, when they say thinking, they're doing air quotes.
I like to call them the
humanities
art
or
and
the
cultural majors, right?
Yes.
Because, one of my sayings is, when civilizations fall, not my saying, but Wynton Marsalis, I heard him say, when civilizations fall, art remains to tell the story, right? And I think getting rid of those, because they're, colleges are trying to figure out how to survive, but I think that's also a decline in intellectualism.
Yep.
It is. Well, you know,
Or a response to anti-intellectualism.
yeah.
Because colleges have to battle with this whole thought of people coming into college looking at it as a product and as a consumer, as opposed to like maybe 10, 15 years ago where people really were wanting to come in to be great thinkers and artists and change society. And I think that, again, that this whole anti-intellectualism has produced a lot of people who look at college as just another commodity. And what will I get out of it?
So Fred, what would in terms of post high school education, what are you seeing as some of the biggest challenges when it comes to post high school students?
So one, that there is this phenomenon of what we call a lot more helicopter parents, those who really hover over the campus, who really want to be involved and almost want to violate FERPA regulations and know every single detail of what's happening in their student's life. Once students are 18 and they're quote unquote emancipated, parents generally, unless the student agrees to sign this waiver, don't have a right to know like about students' grades or disciplinary records or anything like that. So we do have that. So what I offer to parents is like, trust that what you've done for the first 16, 17, 18 years, what you taught your young person, trust that those lessons are going to stick and trust that they're going to represent you well on their college campus.
Are you finding this with Black moms? Or is this across the board?
This is across the board. This is across the board.
Really?
But really, just having that level of trust that, that you've given your young person the wings to be able to fly and be successful on campus, I think is really, really important. I think that another thing that parents can and guardians and supporters can do is really teach their students how to advocate for themselves and how to advocate in a a non-rude way. Like you don't go up yelling in people's offices.
Find a word. I can tell when Brent's trying to figure out the right way to say a thing.
How to
Fred, this is Dear Black Mama. You can say it
politely.
How to act.
Yes, but also to feel confident in advocating for themselves as well. I would also say that parents could play a big role in encouraging their students to get out of their residence hall rooms and trying to make friends on campus. Meeting people in person and not just online can be so important in terms of people acclimating to a college. Yeah.
Can I stop you right there? So do you find that has become a bigger barrier? Students are not meeting in person as much?
So, it surprised me and saddened me over these past, I would say 3-4 years post-COVID, the number of students who say, I don't know how to make friends.
Yes, very true.
I don't know how to meet people.
Yeah.
And part of that is because for, 2-3 years, we were primarily, on computers and things like that. But there is a group of students who actually come to campuses and don't have that skill set of how to socialize or how to make friends, or that it's a pain if you put them in small groups with each other.
Yeah.
And so those are things that I think that supporters and family members can help their young people in terms of their confidence around. So maybe instead of the family sitting around all on their devices, we're going to have a no device Friday, and we're just going to sit here and talk with each other to kind of begin to help people socialize within their family units so those kind of skill sets can transfer over. Other advice I have is, parents, don't just pop up on your student's campus. Let them be adults. There are formal weekends, like for parents' weekends, when parents can show up.
This is really a thing, Fred. This feels
they do lots of activities that involve parents and students.
Let me just pause right there. There's no reason for you to pop up. In the 90s, I could understand you popping up. We didn't have cell phones. You only had that phone.
FaceTime, video chats.
You had outside of white male violence, crime is down.
You didn't have all you had was the answer machine or the voicemail in the 90s.
Yes.
So you couldn't immediately get in touch with your child. So
exactly.
You was
now there's so many ways to do it right now.
But there's you can look on their Instagram page, see where they are. We do a playlist for every episode, and one of the songs on the playlist is going to be called "Before You Come" by Andre 3000. Don't just be popping up out of the blue.
Exactly.
My mom
if
never popped up on me. I mean, I was 8 hours away, so she couldn't.
Yeah, but if y'all do want to set up a schedule for these are the weekends you can come home, or these are the weekends I will come and bring you food and stuff like that. Maybe set those up in advance, so then there's some sense of regularity, almost like with families that are divorced and they set up schedules.
You can build up a transition
visitation schedules for when you're going to come home and when would you like me to come to campus?
Yeah,
and things like that, or when you want me to come and bring your friends out to dinner one night or something like that.
Can
I just also translate what Fred is saying? It's now time for you to have a life, pursue your dreams, parents.
It can be, yeah.
It can be that time that you would take to pop up. Thea's like, I'm
listening to this and I'm like,
I never popped up.
Are they doing this? Like, that's
crazy. Desire.
Like, because here's the thing. Witnessing my children apply what they've learned is one of my greatest joys right now.
Oh, I bet it is.
When they're making mistakes.
Yes.
Watching them recover from those mistakes, watching them resource themselves, watching them develop perseverance. I've had to watch them like hit some pretty low lows. But there was a moment where Taya got herself a little job. Mind you, she was trying to get these jobs online. She went the old-fashioned way. It's like, I'm going to go down there in person. And basically got the job right away just by going down there in person. Yes. They like that. So
Can I just say, too, Thea, that speaks to why I also think it's hard when people are saying it is hard to find a job. That's true. But also, they're doing all of it online.
But that's what they're taught to do. They have to be. This is one of the things I was going to suggest too, Fred. Even in higher education, we got to go back to the basics. When I say a humanistic approach, I mean we have to remember what it means to be human. If we make colleges and university spaces where people get to be human beings and not just numbers, which universities are responsible for helping to contribute to the idea that they were just numbers. Places like the Cross-Cultural Center weren't. Places like, certain student affairs, we have to own where we have made people feel like just commodities or just numbers. Yeah. And we are responsible for returning them to a feeling of connection and having our eye on them and letting them know we see them and we know their name. Like what was happening in cross-cultural centers needs to happen campus-wide. It needs to become campus culture because in this current era, they're going to need spaces to remember what it feels like to be human, to want to get off the device, to want to connect to each other. Yep. So we were in the car. Taya had got this little job. Talani was in New York going to school. Taya was trying to do her classes. And, New York is a struggle, okay? Like, New York is financially a struggle, and I am not a rich mother. And Taya was like, I know my sister needs a little something. I'm going to send her a little something. I just got paid. And to watch my big baby take care of my little baby and send her that money, and I didn't have to do it because I've been taking care of so much. And then the little one calls her and is like, what is this? Did you just give me they got to do something without me that was so amazing to watch. Yeah. You don't want to miss out on the joy of this part of your parenting journey. You don't want to miss out on the witnessing because you're hovering and because you're in the way. It really speaks to like distrust.
I just want to say, I think what you said was absolutely beautiful, Thea. And I just want to tap on that little joy
when she says that, just come in, here's something coming.
Because I thought you was going in a whole different direction. Because I have also seen the joy over Thea. And the reason why she don't pop up is because they have lived with me for 18 years. And
100%.
Why am I popping up?
That is a thing. Get a life.
Yes. Get a life. It's your time to think about what your hobbies are, your interests.
Leave the house.
If you want to go back to school, because so many parents have put their dreams on hold to invest in their kids. And that's a beautiful thing to do. But you'd be surprised the number. No, it's beautiful in terms of raising. Not putting your dreams on hold, though. Yeah. But what I will say is that sometimes we can talk about that. But one of the things I often hear,
okay, go ahead.
When I'm going out to like recruitment and outreach, the number of I'll say adults, people maybe who have been parents, grandparents, who come up to my tables and are like, I started college. I have maybe 1 or 2 years. I really want to go back. And it's not because they have any kind of career aspirations. It's just that sense of pride or they want to do what their kids or grandkids have done. And I'm like, that's such an untapped market for higher ed. The people who have started college and didn't finish, but who really want to for whatever reason. I think that there's some merit there to looking at those audiences. There's so many people who
that may be why they're hovering, Fred, trying to live out their college dream through their kids. You better go on and enroll yourself. You leave them alone and you head over to
go over
enrollment.
Community college, take a class.
You head over to enrollment. You get you a packet. You get you a packet at a different campus.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, when my sister went to North Carolina A&T, she wanted me and my best friend to come up for homecoming. So we went, and she told my mom, oh, you can come too. They'll have stuff for adults because they have stuff for the alumni. When I tell you, after that, my mom went to A&T's homecoming every year without me. Like,
wow.
Because they do have stuff for adults. But if you're hovering, it really does prevent them from getting involved. And you'll find that they're saying, oh, I'm not having a good time. This is not fun for me or whatever, because they're not connected. There's a higher chance of them finishing college if they find connections outside of the classroom.
Exactly.
So, but if you're hovering, if you're taking up all of that outside classroom time, they don't have time to make those connections, especially, as you said, Fred, with the already challenges that they have for being from a particular generation after a pandemic, right? Those social interaction challenges.
I think we're trying to give pointers to higher ed as we speak. We're trying to give some tips. And I think the other thing is, I don't think that you can sell it on education alone. I think you have to sell it on experience. And I think a lot of people come there and they don't think about the holistic experience. When I tell people, having worked on a campus, I'm like, listen, if this is something you're going to do, which you have options if you want to do it, but if this is something you're going to do, you have to go into it knowing it's a full experience. And you have to go into it because you want to make connections, because you want to leave there with relationships, because you want to leave there with contacts and network, because you want to leave there with memories, because you want to leave there with experiences. That is why you go. Because, just having an education doesn't secure you anything afterwards without those factors. You need the experience. You need the connections, you need the relationship, you need the friendships, you need the heartbreak, you need the romance, you need all the things. You need all these things because you're developing as a person. So if you're going, you have to think, I'm ready to do those things. I'm ready to put myself out there. I'm ready to be vulnerable. I'm ready to be uncomfortable. I'm ready to build a relationship with teachers and things like that. Like, if you're just going to go to pass classes to get the degree, it really won't serve you. You won't stand out.
But Thea, I think that's one of the things that people are boiling college down to, which I was really disappointed to hear. Like they're boiling it down to just passing the classes and getting the degree.
It's true.
And college for me was about
now you're the one who really taught me that.
More than
y'all
that.
Could do a whole podcast episode of Crystal Irby talking about, and every time she talked, let me tell you something about Crystal. Every time she talked about college, she never talked about her education. I had never heard her mention NARA class when we talk about
some good classes.
The time. I'm sure you did. But in 20 years of friendship, have I heard about any of them damn classes? No. I have heard about the time, the relationships, the friendships, the experiences. And I think that's what we have to remind them about. Like, that's why to choose college. Now, this also does start in high school and middle school, because high school and middle schools kind of shape the idea that you're going for, purely just education, purely to get a job. They can do a better job in high school and middle school of talking about it as a full-bodied experience.
So I think there was a shift because when I was going to college, I was definitely looking for, and I don't know, it you know what? It may have been different. I was, I don't know, the 15th grandchild to go to college. All my siblings went to college before me. So I knew that it was about more than the classroom. I knew that it was about an experience. And, a different world was on TV.
Different world was on
TV. And so we had
that made all of us want to go to college.
Right. We had that
really
to relate to. And we understood that we saw college outside of the classroom. So I think maybe we had that reference point, maybe.
Yeah,
and because
sure.
I would hear people be like, oh, college is a waste. You're just going to, and I'm like, man, I learned more outside of the classroom than I probably did
About myself in
about
particular. Yeah.
myself
Exactly.
inside the
Exactly.
classroom. I learned so much more about myself outside of the classroom than inside of the classroom. And when I worked at Cal State LA, that was one of the things that I wanted to give students, because Cal State LA, when I was working there, had a lot of non-traditional students. And I felt like if you're a student, you're a student. And by non-traditional, I mean you didn't go from high school directly to college, or you didn't go from high school directly to a 4-year university. But I felt like you're a student. And I think that some people, that non-traditional population, are not thought of. And it's like they don't get to have a college experience. Now, that experience looked different, and I had to think differently than my experiences at Florida State in terms of the times and the days that we were having things, like, having things in the afternoon, in the middle of the day when students are at school, versus having things at night when students, some of them were parents, or having something that, oh, you can bring your children to this, like not being bothered that children like showed up at the events. But I do think that's not, I think you're right in terms of that is an untapped population. And I think it's also an untapped population when it comes to getting connected on campus, getting those people connected on campus.
I know. Like this summer, I was working some summer orientation sessions, and generally afterwards, I'll have a couple of like people who skew toward an older demographic coming in, like, are there any clubs for old ladies like me? Are there any clubs for people who have parents, grown kids, and things like that? And they are coming wanting to have that experience, and sometimes not feeling confident or not feeling like they'll have a place to belong. And I want those people who are thinking about returning to know there is a place. There's probably some faculty there who are your age, who you can relate to just on life experiences, but then who also have the advantage of knowing the university. So I would say if anyone's returning, or even for people who are sending off young people to college, encourage them to get connected to their professors, go to their office hours. That could, sometimes professors sit in their offices by themselves all day and no one comes by to see them. And that could be the difference between a B+ and an A- in a class. It's just by having that familiarity with the professor. But a lot of colleges are also doing stuff for students who are parents, whether it's some form of childcare, daycare, maybe a collective of student parents who are like, I will watch this group of kids between these hours while you all go to class, and then you all return the favor, and everything. Or just more resources on campus in terms of like providing like diapers and lactation rooms and, places where parents can just go and do the things that parents need to do to maintain their young people and everything. And so colleges are getting more and more hip to that and realizing that more people are returning. But yeah, I totally think that that's a market that colleges could look at, because some people really do want to fulfill their educational dreams. And I always say it's never too late to start anything, whether it's a relationship, going back to school, whether it's, finding a new hobby, thinking you want to do a career shift or something. Is never too late. And there's always a chance to do something new.
And even if you did fulfill that educationally, but you want to do something completely different, like you've changed your mind, that doesn't bring you the joy anymore. You fulfilled that chapter and you want to do something good. I think all the time, what would I go back to school for? Like, what would I study? It's probably vastly different than what I started with, but I think that's also something people should allow themselves to think about.
That's good.
If you're in a career and it's not bringing you joy anymore, what would now?
I went back for my master's after I had kids, and and I just wanted to tell parents, like, they didn't like it. They hated me going back to school. I mean, sometimes we're like, oh, my kids were so supportive. Q Baby was supportive, but my kids were like, we hate when you go to class. We hate it. Like, they didn't like it. And that was fine. They may not like it. They got through it, and they were proud of me in the end. And so I just want to say, your kids may not be supportive because they're used to a certain thing.
Yeah.
And I
had an infant and a toddler.
Yeah, they don't want that to change. And so if you are thinking about going back, number one, go ahead and begin to build your village. Begin to build the people who can help support your family, because I feel like you're really going to need that support. And the other thing that that I would say is, it's a good time to begin to teach your children about that piece about advocating for themselves, right? Especially my one of my children was in middle school when I went back. And by that, I mean, I would sit down with my son and say, at the beginning of every year, I email all of your teachers, right? So now I want you to send that email, right? And like when you get to college, that's one of the things that you should do. You should email all of your professors. Even if you meet them in class, just do like a follow-up email with them and get that communication piece going, so that when it is time to advocate for yourself, that's not the first time that they're hearing from you, right?
Exactly.
And so you can begin, if you're thinking about going to school, that's a good tool to put in your children's toolbox while you're doing. Teach them how to start doing their own things. You pick out your clothes, iron your clothes, you fix your lunch, you fix your breakfast, like all of those things. You can begin to teach them.
Learn
What are
how
the
to do
things
your
that
own laundry.
Right. What are the things, we started doing laundry in fourth grade, right? What are those life skills that your children need so that you can have your return to college experience with ease? Fred, what do you feel like some of the life skills that you see? And Thea, you recently started working on a college campus. What do you all feel like some of the life skills that students are missing?
You go ahead.
I was going to say real quick to that last point you made about because I was also a mother that went back, I'm working at Cal State LA. It did have a diverse population, including a lot of returning older students. And I would always remind them that your value in that classroom is higher. You bring something, you bring life experiences. Don't underestimate how many of those young people want to be in your group or want to partner with you for a project because of that. My kids are like that all the time. They actually, in their classes, they tend to like the older person in the class. They feel like they just feel like you can do something that their parents can't. Not that you have to parent them, but you really can give them insight from a different perspective that is super helpful. So please, please, shine, show up, speak up, take up space, because they actually love it. In my experience, the younger people really like that quite a bit.
And your focus is different. I appreciated that.
You're not as distracted by everything that's going on. You're clear. You know what you want. You're more passionate. You're more plugged in. There's a lot of value to if you started and stopped because maybe it wasn't your time. There's so much value to that time when you come back. You are ready to go. I did that. It was so much easier for me the second time around because in between there, I had lived and gotten clear on what I wanted and who I was. So when I came back, I did that thing, I really took it on.
That's really interesting that you said that, Thea, because I thought I was going back to school because I wasn't sure of who I was. But then when I got in the classroom, I realized I'm very sure of who I am, as an artist and what I want to write about and what I want to say. And I didn't have that clarity in my 20s. So
when we were younger, it's that's a superpower.
Yeah.
So, but in terms of life skill, I think one of the biggest struggles that students would have is making friends, making connections, and then reaching out for help. There was almost they would wait till things got really, really bad to reach out for something. And so I had to teach them, when you feel minimally uncomfortable or unsure, reach out. Don't wait until things are super, super bad. Another life skill is prioritization. So I would do an exercise with them, because this is what we would hear all the time, right, Fred? You'd hear, there's just not enough time. There's not enough time. There's too much. There's not enough time. And so I would literally print out, a week
Here is the
by
week.
hours. And I'd be like, show me where your classes are and what are you doing here? Oh, we got like 3-4 hours here. We got like 5 hours here. We got like, we got time, right?
And they don't like that when you show them, you have time.
You got time.
That's so interesting. I think the theme of college is time management. Like,
oh my God.
Time,
yes.
You heard so
then
so
once
much.
you show them that there's time, we do this time inventory, we do this time audit. Once we do that, then it's like, okay, how do I prioritize what to do with that time? So I would teach them this strategy. I would say everything goes in an A, B, or C column. So you make an A, B, C. A is somebody gonna die? Is somebody gonna die if I don't do this thing right now? And they would laugh because nothing ever goes in the A column. But the point of that was to bring down their anxiety and their sense of like urgency. When you have everything in your head, here's another skill. Write shit down, please. Don't just type it into your phone. There's a different part of your brain that works when you write things down.
You sound like Q, baby.
Absolutely.
He
and
is
it's the truth. It's the
like
truth.
He's
It's the truth.
like, write it
when you
down.
put it in your phone, it's like it's still in your mind. But when you put it on paper, it's like it's out of your mind. But when people are like, I know. I said, where is it? Where do you keep it? In my head. With everything else? With everything else. You have to separate it out and write it down. I am a stickler for an old school composition freaking notebook.
I got you beat, friend.
And to-do list.
I'm older than that. I got you beat, friend.
You have anything? Is it Mead? Is it Mead? Look at our notebooks, Mead.
Oh, you got that calendar, the big calendar.
That was the kind that's your mama's job. That would be at your mama's job on her desk.
Or the free one you would get at church at the beginning of the
year.
year.
You get at church. And here's why. I would try to teach them that skill set because then when they do this ABC list and they realize, nothing's urgent, nothing's life or death. So then B column was anything that had to be done within the next 24 to 72 hours would go in the B column. Because now I know what to focus on. And part of that, because mental health is a part of their academic health, did you eat? Are you sleeping? Do you work out? All these things, that is a part of the B column. You need to be doing those things on a daily basis. And then C is, it could wait a little bit. Because here's the thing. In this world, 3 days, we don't know what this man's going to do every 3 days. Like, you'll have planned out your whole life. Then I have my overplanners who are planning things like months in advance. And then what would happen is they would have to replan as new information became available. So I would be like, if things are like within a week to 2 week window, great. And you can kind of have a loose idea of after that, but you don't want to have anything super tight or rigid that you can't manipulate or change as new data comes in. That B column was your solid space, and that would help them to prioritize and to get that time management audit under control.
That whole time management piece, I think, is really important, and where I see students struggle. Thea, you were on point about that, asking for help before you need it.
Yeah.
And not waiting until...
especially with boys. Especially with boys.
There was something about men and boys that this sense of pride and this sense of, if I ask for help, that means I'm weak. And like, no, that means you're actually strong.
That means you need help. That's all it means.
Yeah, that really makes me sad.
Yeah.
The number of students, and especially when I see men of color who could have had someone intervene and help them out. But then in December, they got to pack up everything and go home because they did not ask for help in a classroom or with maybe if they were involved with conduct and have someone to advocate with them and for them or whatever kind of situation was happening. And so I really want to stress, of course, talk to all your young people, but especially something about young boys and men at this age and the whole sense of pride and masculinity.
Even masculine presenting. It's something about the way in which, because I'm raising those children and I can do all I can here, but it's something about the way in which the world nurtures them that makes that a thing. One of the things that we're doing is we're getting our kids tutoring. We want them to know what support and help feels like already so that they can get kind of past that, like, it makes you weak. Or, well, one of my sons was like, I'm not dumb. It's like, it's not about that. I think one of the things parents can do now is like, sign them up for like 4 tutoring sessions so that they know and see what that kind of support feels like already. Yeah.
And if it's possible, like I know that everyone grows up in a household where reading was emphasized, but people are going to have to do a lot of reading in college. If there are ways and times for families and units to read together from K through 12. You know, we're going to spend Friday or Saturday morning after we clean the house. We're going to spend 1 hour just reading in
Fred
silence
is old
or
school.
something.
Saturday morning after we clean the house. Fred is old school. Fred is Detroit old school. What you playing, Fred? What you got on? The Commodores? Dinah Ross?
Gladys Knight.
Luther, Gladys. What you got on, Fred?
But, you know, I think that gets students primed for the amount of reading they got to do in school and everything.
And reading comprehension coming out of high schools is poor. Reading comprehension coming out of high school is bad.
I just saw this statistic that it's one of my little Bookstagrammer friends who said that 54% of people in the United States read under a sixth grade level.
Yeah. Yes.
I did not know that.
That's true.
And so this is also that part about preparing yourself as a parent for them transitioning to college. I brought this up before, like my dad and my daughter had this conflict, this generational conflict, and she told him, my mom rarely tells me no. I bring my mom a situation, she listens and she'll say, tell me more about that. And then once she knows what I want, why I want to do it, then she's like, okay, I hear what you want. Here's my concern as your mother who loves you, and this is what I need. And she thinks about, can I meet that need, or how can I meet her need so that I can get what I want? And then she presents me with, okay, what if we do this? And so she's like, my mom really has to tell me no, but we use this time to critically freaking think, to have a conversation, to negotiate, to make a plan, to be resourceful. All that is happening. And so most time parents would just be like, no. But you're actually then teaching them to just like respond, like if they can't get something the first time, if they need something from financial aid, if they need something, they're gonna just shut down, right? Instead, you're like, tell me more, like what do you need? And then they learn to expect that. They learn to offer that context, to offer that information. Students are really bad nowadays about giving the context. They just will tell you, this is the thing, and you don't know why they need the thing, and you don't have the information to. So then you might say no just because they only gave you that, but they're not being taught about context. So parents, you can, instead of solving all the problems or saying no or shutting down conversations, use them as a time to work on critical thinking. Using it as a time to go back and forth and negotiate and let them advocate for what they want or show you that they can do the thing.
I want to add to that, like, recognize the generational shift, right? So again, grew up in the 90s, crack epidemic, gangs, Black men were what were they saying? Black men were a...
Protect the Black men, endangered species.
Black men, but they were like literally, y'all, they were an endangered species. Height of the AIDS epidemic, right? These are the times that we grew up in. It was okay for a third grader to stay at home by themselves. Don't open the door. Don't answer the phone. You're fixing your own after school meal, whatever. You're watching the after school special. Like, this is the generation that we grew up in, which gave us a different skill set and taught us how to critically think and figure things out in a different way. So I see a lot of parents who are like, well, why they don't know how to do that? Just assuming that children know what you know when they have not grown up in the same circumstance. Like the same circumstances in so many ways. These children have lived through a pandemic. And so I think that parents really need to recognize they're going to have to get those critical skills in another way, different from the way that we did it. We got those critical thinking skills because we were staying at home by ourselves.
Yeah.
We were doing a lot of things by ourselves. And so you do have to find those opportunities to critically
create
think.
them.
Yeah, create them. Be out of one too. I have a high schooler who is he's in sports. I also have a job. So does his father. So don't assume that I'm always able to pick you up. You need to tell me what your schedule is, so we can figure this out together. And if I can't pick you up, figure out, do you have a friend? Like there are opportunities. Now, I know I can pick him up every single day, but I am creating the opportunity for him to figure it out. And also not assuming things about other people's time. Because I also think there's sort of a thing where they're surprised when they get in college that people aren't on their time. Right? I think we have to create those opportunities if our children don't have those opportunities for independence.
they also need to know that actions have consequences, and not the kind that come through you like punishing them. If you are not a good friend, if you do not keep your word, and your friend doesn't want to,
I'm
these
off camera
things,
for I'm off camera for this.
these things are ways you have to let them fall. Please let them fall. Please let them fall. One of my kids was not taking school very seriously, even though I knew she had the background to do so. And I had warned her what would happen. Like, I will not want this for you more than you want it for yourself. So she performed her way out of that school into like a continuation school and hated it, and had to hate it so much that she worked her way back out of it. And then when she went back to a regular school, she handled it and held it very differently, which actually led to her choosing to go to college. Because before then, she wasn't sure if she wanted to. Her falling, she was going to fall through the center of the earth. Falling while you're in my home allows me to watch how you get back up, allows you to have some safety around the fall, right? There's some buffering. But also made her have to figure out, do I want this? Because if I'm just pushing you to want something, I can't as a parent maintain that throughout your life. I can't always want something for you. Some people right now got kids in their 30s and 40s that they are still pushing to want something out of life. It's a real testimony for folks. You have to let them fall and make mistakes to figure out what they want. And you can provide a safe space for that, but you must let it happen. You must let it happen. And then they know if they want it or not. They know if they have the teeth for it or not, if they have the stomach for it or not. They know they can make a new decision. All these things come from that.
And then if we could also, I know people have the talk with their kids before they
I was going to touch on this
about a number of different conversations.
This was going to be my tip, Fred, but go ahead.
One with young men especially, and it's because I work next door to the office called Safe Space. So that's where people coming around relationship violence, sexual assault and stuff. I hear of and see a number of young men of all ethnicities who are here because they have not understood boundaries around when a relationship should begin, when someone says, I no longer want to be in a relationship, or having a sense of entitlement to a relationship, like they're owed a relationship because they show interest in someone. So if that's a conversation that, guardians and supporters can have with their young men before going to college or even high school, because we're even seeing these kind of incidents happen in high school too. I think that's such an important thing because we don't want to see our young men end up in conduct offices around these types of issues. Yeah. Surprisingly, and I know you want to jump in on this, surprisingly, do you know what the highest or the biggest growth in conduct cases are on college campuses now?
But no, I have no idea.
Academic dishonesty as it relates to AI.
I wanted to touch on that too.
So if we can encourage or have these conversations around what does it mean to do your own original work? What does it mean to write your own original paper or have your own original thought? The amount of students who I'm hearing of in our conduct system because of academic dishonesty, because professors can recognize the same pattern in 15 papers that come in. And they're like, oh, they got this from somewhere, AI. And universities are taking those cases really seriously. And that would be a reason I would not want to see, especially young Black boys and Black women, get through the discipline process because of not doing their own original work.
I don't know how we deal with that when they don't even know if, like, they will quickly retweet or quickly repost something that is not real. They don't even know. Like, this goes back to anti-intellectualism, anti-fact checking, anti-fact. Like, so, sometimes I feel like we have tipped too far on that side of the scale to, like, pull that all the way back. I don't know. Unless we go back to, I keep saying, like, the humanistic, where, like, I want to hear your thoughts. I think your thoughts are important. I think your perspective is important. I think what you have to say is vital and essential. Like that's what I mean, like, back to the basics. Like, I think what you think is important. I think what's in your mind is important. Without that, they're thinking, let me give people what they want. It's because we taught them to the test. and we taught them to memorize for decades. And now we need them to think. But for decades, we have taught them the opposite. So AI is the logical conclusion for them.
And we reiterate them not thinking in our parenting as well. I'm not even talking about like just in school, but just like when we think about our parenting, like, are we asking our kids questions? Are we telling our children what to do? Right? Then we're like, well, why can't you make a decision? Why? Well, they've never made a decision. You've never given them.
And here you are at the campus popping up, still not letting them make decisions.
And you've never given them. And so by the time they're trying to decide which college, they don't know. You've never given them the opportunity to make decisions. So you have to be really, really intentional. I know it's tough. And I know, especially I have privilege. I work for myself, but if you're working a job, trying to do this, trying to get here and trying to get there. But if you can take the time to be intentional, to create those opportunities for them to think for themselves. Every year when they have to pick out classes, do I like everything that my son is taking this year? No. But these are some of the things that he wants to take. So I let him make those decisions. He knows the requirements. He knows what his long-term goal is. He's making decisions based on that, right? Yeah. So now he wants to change a class. Okay, what is the process in changing the class? How do we handle this?
Decision making.
Right? So now we have to go through that process of changing the class together, right?
Yeah.
The thing I want to say about AI is, as a Black person, I teach it from really a conspiracy perspective. You're feeding something. Who's the first person to get eaten alive? That's us. So you got to be conscious when you go into AI, they literally call it that. They're literally hiring people to feed the machine, right? So I know that, but that's the language of it. Just think about the language of it.
No, it's the reality. It's not just the language.
I have a talk with my kids about honesty, yes. Also, they're teenagers. Honesty.
Slippery slope.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because their minds aren't fully developed. Not because they're bad people, but their minds aren't fully developed, right? A teenager can know the right thing to do and still not do the right thing. I have conversations about AI in terms of social justice and social issues, right? So you are feeding this thing. You are feeding this machine created by who? What kind of AI are you using? Who created that AI? And when you give them this information, how is it then used again? Right? And so that's kind of the critical thinking conversation that I have with them around AI. And I've seen some really good fruit from that conversation in terms of them really, really thinking through AI.
And this even goes back to good questions that even in the K through 12 system, like when people are sending their kids to elementary school, middle or high school, is going in and being an involved parent or supporter, asking about discipline rates. How is the discipline process set up in the school? You have statistics on who's getting disciplined more or less. Are parents able to come in and be advocates with, their young people? All this all fits into what you're talking about. And Dr. Monique Morris does a lot of good books around discipline rates and how they impact Black young women and Black young men in K through 12 and in higher ed.
Pushed out.
Yes, push out.
Pushed out.
Yes.
We'll have the link for that. I'm going to kind of switch gears here when we're having the sex talk or talking about intimate relationships and touching and consent. College is probably the time in your child's life, or not even college, but after 18, post high school, is probably the time in your child's life where they're going to have their mind blown sexually. And so I think parents, I know this is uncomfortable, but I think parents need to be prepared to have that conversation and be able to offer some non-judgmental guidance around consensual.
You're saying they could get digmatized. Is that what you're saying?
Or
they could get digmatized or pussy whipped.
Or pussy whipped. I have seen kids go to college in Atlanta in particular. In Atlanta in particular. I have seen boys go to college.
True. I don't know the data on that, but it feels true.
And have to come back home.
I don't have the data, but it feels true.
So I just want parents, we
You got to get your kids to touch grass. You got to get your kids to touch grass. You got to.
We often have conversations about consent, which is totally necessary.
But the opposite effect is also true.
The opposite of that is affecting also. So I just need you to be prepared. When things aren't lining up and you feel like, well, what's going on? And you can't figure it out. You're missing some information and you need to ask some questions about current relationships and be willing to have. This is important. Am I lying? Tell me if I'm lying, and I'll
said it's important. I said it's important. It's just my brain is. So I went to my Dr. Umar pose.
We need to be willing to have those conversations. And it can be uncomfortable with your child, but I have seen students have to leave for academic reasons, but I have also seen students who have to leave because they lost focus, because they got caught up, because it's the first time. It's a lot of experimenting going on. And it's their first time where they're having certain particular experiences and they don't know how to refocus. They don't know how to handle it. And it becomes their focus.
And so y'all know what you talk about. It happened to you. I'm not about to sit here and have my friend over-explain this shit. You know what she's talking about. It happened to you. And you know when it did.
Oh my God, this is so funny.
You couldn't think.
Is it in one of your books? Is it one of your books?
I wrecked my car.
No.
I wrecked a car.
Opening scene of this book I'm writing right now. It's a married couple talking about how they met in college.
Yeah.
This is a het couple. And
for those of you who aren't hip,
het
is heterosexual. For people who aren't hip to
heterosexual. And they're both talking about how, well, when we both met in college, we both had 4, 5, 6 partners. And they both say, yeah, because we were both hoeing around.
Hoeing.
But we ended up with each other.
Right. That's what happened.
And then they go, and now our kids are about to go to college. They're going to be hoeing around too.
That's right. I just want to point out, it may not be
car.
It may not be.
Do you know what I said after I wrecked the car? Fresh out the pen, y'all. Fresh out the house. I said, "This is why we have insurance."
I also
that is not the right answer. When you wreck your car, leaving a dude's house.
Fred, you brought up a good point that they were holding around. It may not be one person that's making them lose focus. They may be dipping in down.
They could be the community asset.
Right.
Jesus
and
Christ.
So there is.
And actually that is something to be thinking about because sometimes like with any kind of issue, sometimes the face that our young people show at home.
Yes.
The behavior and personality they show at home could be completely different what they show in K through 12 or in college. I'm just saying could. And that sometimes that's what we see on the college end is that, parent may come and yell at us, my kid doesn't do this. My kid would never do this. I raised them with da-da-da-da. They read the Bible and go to church.
I did too.
And we're like, but we know based on the documentation what your young person is allegedly doing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be hard as a supporter and parent to reconcile the face we see in the home versus who our young people might be in other settings.
We have to see your faces.
And maybe we don't even want to know about it.
But this is a whole other thing about why I advocate we have to come back on this, Crystal, because I think, how I feel about teaching that sex and sexual identity is a lifespan. There are ways to inch a person there. If you are a parent who is sex positive and comfortable talking to your kids,
I'm just going to say it.
Now, if you done thought Jimmy was at church and you never checked under Jimmy's bed, bitch, that's on you. I'm going to tell you. Check under Jimmy's bed and don't shame Jimmy for what's under there. Have a conversation. If you can have somebody, gotta have it. Because Jimmy's had that shit under his bed for a good 5 years.
What I'm saying is
5 years.
I had a very sex positive mom. She was very open about sex, and she did, and yet she did everything
she could. No, what you're saying is absolutely true.
I'm just saying,
not there.
Be able to have the conversation without shame, and if you can't do it, make sure you point out the resources on campus where they can go have this conversation, especially when it comes to STIs, about shame, and
because
also
it gets the best of us,
and also someone else.
It gets the best of us. It gets the best of us. It gets the best of us, bitch.
And also,
I went to my birthday just passed. I'm 45 years old, and I am still reconciling the decisions I made. I am still reconciling.
Oh my God.
I was like, did I do that because I wanted to do that? Or did I do that because, like, I am still grappling with the repercussions. So, you know
what I'm saying is, and if you can have the conversation before they go to college, say, if this happens to you, this is the person that you can have that conversation
and
with.
by this,
because you need some support.
Ties.
You need someone to talk to.
Are you saying this happens to you? Is this dickomatized or pussy whip? Or whatever else we can create in between. There's a lot of other options. Both.
Whatever.
Maybe both.
Whatever.
Damn, I have never handled both. I'm saying
you can have a sexual experience that blows your mind.
That
you continue returning to.
You know, God willing, inshallah.
That makes you lose your focus. And you need to have someone to talk it through with. You really do.
It can't be your age group. Because they fucked up too. You need to find someone who has survived. Someone who's made it to the other side.
Someone who has. Yeah.
Some people don't make it, y'all. Some people don't make it. Crystal, I can't believe you did this in this podcast episode.
We're talking about going back to school.
I understand, Crystal, but I was not prepared. This is not in the outline.
I just wanted to put it out there.
But now I'm a little troubled.
Like this.
But I'm glad we brought it up because these are real topics and real things that happen that some supporters may or may not know about that's happening today.
Yeah.
Jimmy is hitting it.
But I would tend to say the same thing
Jimmy's hitting it
that we did and that y'all out there did when you were in high school or in college. They're still doing it today. It's just different methods and methodologies of doing it.
Yeah. So just it could be all kinds of things. I know people who got addicted to porn when they were in college. It could be all kinds of things.
I think we got the point, Krista.
Yeah.
I think we got it. I think we can just let this one fade out. Can we fade this topic to black?
Okay.
Let's just fade it. Then we went.
Okay. Last tips. My last tip is no matter if you're getting student loans, grants, or scholarships, you need to fill out the FAFSA in October when it comes out. Look in your community. I'll have some links for you as well for webinars that you can attend
and how people can help you.
Yeah, and people who can help you because the FAFSA has changed. Especially if you went to college in the 90s, the FAFSA has changed. Okay? So you need to know the new things about it. So fill out the FAFSA. That's my closing tip. Any closing tips for you, Fred?
I have nothing.
Fred, you got to come back and we'll talk about your book. We got to come back. We didn't get to.
Please.
We can do that anytime. Yes.
Y'all are done after my. Well, thank you, Fred. Where can people find you?
Thank you. I'm on all socials, Frederick Smith or F Smith 827. And if you just Google my name and One and Done, a novel, something will pop up about me.
Yeah. But thanks.
This has been fun.
Thanks for coming. Thank you,
Fred.
We
miss you.
For your insight.
I miss you all too.
Thank you for your insight and your expertise. Yeah. You know we love to spend time with you.
Thank you. Love you too.
So our final segment, Black Mama Say, is where we put our own twist on sayings from Black mamas. And today's Black Mama Say is, I ain't forgot. Chris is going to start us off.
I ain't forgot that the majority of white women in this country voted for Donald Trump.
And ain't never gonna forget. And ain't never gonna forget. Wait, let me do it the Dr. Umar way. Wait a minute. And ain't never gonna forget. And ain't never gonna forget. And ain't never gonna forget.
I just am not over this election. I just ain't forgot. I ain't forgot about the numbers. I ain't forgot about the numbers.
Let me tell you what my ain't forgot is.
This is my ain't forgot. And it's like a Black mom. You know, like when you think your mama done forgot something and then you do, and then she be like, I ain't forgot.
I ain't forgot.
There's
a lot of things I ain't forgot.
I'm nice right now, but I ain't forgot. Yeah.
There's a lot of things I ain't forgot. But I'm going to take it a different direction. And I know it has come and gone, but I ain't forgot chair team. And I ain't forgot. I actually, in this iteration of me, because this body wasn't alive during the original Juneteenth, But I imagine it felt somewhat like chair teeth feels to me now. And every time I see that chair, and every time I think about the way Negroes descended and kicked ass that day.
Threw the hat. He threw the back.
They threw the hat. For me, it was the men who jumped off the boat.
And swam
to the fight.
And swam to the man. And swam.
And swam to the fight. I will never get over it. I will never forget. And I know it's past, but we can say it again. Happy chair team.
Happy chair team.
Happy chair team.
Happy chair team.
Happy chair team. By Dr. Umar. Happy chair team. Happy chair team. Isn't it amazing when you think about a happy chair team? Throw the hat.
And he did it so rich. He was like,
that just meant it's
Black
going
people are so extra.
down.
Black people are so
when
extra.
They swam over, I was like,
so
this
extra.
Is good. I'm going to rewatch it when we get off the phone.
Black people being extra is like international. I saw this post that said Africans say something not, nice about African Americans. African Americans say something nice about Africans. And all the African American people were like, I love how dramatically poetic Nigerians are.
You are trying to kill my blessings.
Or they'll say like,
I told you that woman in the airport in Lagos. She couldn't find her luggage. Someone has taken my blessings. Someone has gone off with my blessings. The guy was like, we're going to find it. Don't worry, your bag's in. No, Jesus help me. Someone has stolen all my blessings.
Girl, the best one in the comments.
I was like, I'm home.
The best one in the comments was, wisdom is chasing you, but you're faster.
It's so good. The shade is so good. This woman who does husband. And she'll be like, she pulls off her bonnet and her hair and stuff. She's like, do you feel like I do not feel like a wife when my hair looks like this? Do I look like a wife to you? Do you feel like I look like I have a husband? It's just, you could have just been like, let me have somebody get my hair done. You have to be like, husband, after giving him a drink. It's so good. It's so drama.
One of my roommates was West Indian when I was in college, and she said her parents would always be like, you're trying to kill me.
You kill me. It's always
you
about
want me
death.
to die.
They're always bringing up death. What happens? What if I die? I could die. It's like, if death is the only way you get people to do things, what if I die? And when they're in the wrong and they don't want to apologize, but what if I died? Would you? You're not going to talk to me. You're not going to call me. I could die any day. So could I.
I love it. It's like internationally, we are so dramatic. I love it. That's
our Black Mama say. We ain't forgot.
Follow us on Instagram at Dim Black Mamas Podcast. If you don't want to miss a moment of the magic, sign up for our newsletter, The Mothership, which includes reflections on the conversations we've been having and hearing. And we also share a collection plate cause, where we'll spotlight causes and initiatives that resonate within our community.
And don't forget to check out our website at www.dimblackmamas.com. Dim Black Mamas is a conversation, so our inbox is always open. Send us your thoughts about the show, show us some love, and ask some questions at magic@dimblackmamas.com.
And be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Don't just be looking at us. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review us. And share this episode with at least one person, because sharing is not only caring, sharing is how we build community. And thank you to all our listeners, all our subscribers, and everyone who already shares our episodes. And in closing, maintain,
expect
abundance.
I think this is abundance, right? Yes, abundance.
That's all we got. We ain't got no more.
Namaste.
Namaste.